Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a brand new series on the TSGW YouTube channel. This is the TSGW Battlebots Prediction League. I am your host, Patrick Epworth, and each week I am going to be taking a look at the Battlebots fight card and predicting the winners from each of the fights. At the end of the week, I'll get a score, I'll get a tally, and at the end of the season, I'll get a complete tally overall of how many fights I have predicted correctly. The other thing is, you lot can play along at home. There's a Google form in the description, and you can vote for your winners, and hopefully we'll get a nice little competition. Who can predict Battlebots better, me or my audience? Without further ado, let's have a look at the fight card. So I thought I'd record my live reaction to the fight card. I know one fight. I know what the main event is. I have no idea what the rest of the fight card is. So I'm gonna get to have a look now. Ooh, blimey! And they do YouTube exclusives now. Wow. This is interesting. Okay, I'll also predict the YouTube exclusive. That's really good from Battlebots that they're doing that, I have to say. They've really stepped up with their YouTube content. And yeah, first comment is the YouTube exclusive is a much better alternative to the Science Chart bonuses of old. Yeah, here it is. So let's go into these. Sawblaze versus Minotaur. What a fight this is, by the way. Sawblaze was my pick to go all the way last year and win the tournament. They're an incredibly good machine, and we've not seen the upgrades to Minotaur this season. They had a year off last year, so I really don't know what to expect from them. I have to say I've not kept up that much with what the teams have been doing in the off season. I'm gonna go for Sawblaze, I think, just because I think that they've been in the box more recently. I think Minotaur, they'll have some kind of attachment, I reckon, for the top. But I just think that Sawblaze can hit harder. It can get Minotaur into that scoop. It can shovel them around the arena into the hazards. And you know, if it goes to time, I think Sawblaze will get the judge's decision. I'm not sure it'll be a knockout. I would think it will be. I think it will go all the way to the judges. I think it'll be a Sawblaze win. Next up is Uppercut versus Gigabyte. Uppercut was another level last season compared to season 4, you know, to 2019. 2020, Uppercut really stepped up. I remember them punting Gemini into the stratosphere, blowing up Sawblaze actually in that other fight. Two amazing moments of last season. Gigabyte, full body spinners are difficult with their effectiveness. Gigabyte has its moments. Do I think it'll win here? No, not when Uppercut can put a really big, solid front blade on. They've done it before against machines with discs. I think Uppercut will start their season with a win and quite possibly a knockout. So now we have a newcomer, Switchback versus Gruff. Interesting. Switchback has got this sort of, I saw pictures of it in the build-up to the season, and it has this sort of lifting arm that can swing all the way over, I think, and it's got a big drum disc on it. A lot of moving parts in that, and usually I would say moving parts are, you know, lots of moving parts can fail quite easily. Although I say that, and I had Sawblaze to win last season, who also has several moving parts. But it's about getting it to a functional point. Do I think Switchback is at a functional point? I don't know. Are they good enough to beat Gruff, who are a very solid machine? They've got their fair share of scalps in the previous seasons. No, I think Gruff is going to just shovel Switchback around the arena and that'll be the end of that. Gruff to win that one. Captain Shrederator versus Tombstone, a battle of the legends. One definitely more successful than the other one. Tombstone has had quite a lot of upgrades for this season. I know that for a fact. I think their disc is, their blade is a lot beefier. Captain Shrederator has always had reliability problems. Can they sustain getting smacked around by Tombstone? No, they can't. It's going to be a Tombstone win. Not really breaking the mold yet with my predictions, but Tombstone win. Now this is an interesting one. Freeshipping versus Blacksmith. Blacksmith shocked the world when they unveiled that they have gone from a flaming hammer to a hammer saw, much like Sawblaze. It's like Blacksmith and Sawblaze had a baby, and that is the new Blacksmith. I don't know how it will cope in the arena. I really loved Blacksmith's design before, even if it wasn't particularly competitive. It was competitive, of course, but to a certain level. How they do against someone like Freeshipping, which is essentially just a big ramming wedge bot, I'm not too sure. I mean, the wheels are exposed, so Blacksmith could target them, but I think the more likely option is that Freeshipping is going to bully Blacksmith around the arena, feed them to the hazards, flip them over. But I could be completely wrong. I think Blacksmith this year is a real contender, but I just can't make a comment until I've seen that hammer saw working in the arena. The one before the main event is always an interesting one, and I always think it's really difficult to predict, because sometimes they're robots that we're not as intimately familiar with than other ones, and this is one of those. Pain Train, newcomer last year. I have to say, I'd have to go back and watch their fights. No disrespect to the team. I think they were okay. I think they were a decent machine. I'm sure they've put a lot of work into the machine this season. And Deep Six, well, how can we forget them in 2019 with that massive bar ripping up the battle box, test box. So much so that last season they couldn't enter because I think there's been a restriction on the length of the spinning bars, or is it the weight or something like that. I know a fair bit about robot combat. I'm not the smartest tool in the shed. Someone will correct me in the comments or somewhere. But they've really streamlined that design, Deep Six. It was very unstable in 2019. I think they've had a year off, and they're back. And I really don't know who's going to win this fight. Part of me thinks Deep Six is going to hit Pain Train and just go flying, which it could do. This is what I mean. These two robots, I just don't know how they're going to come together. I can't see it in my head. I'm going to go for Pain Train. I think Pain Train's more stable. I could be completely wrong, and Deep Six could punt Pain Train into the stratosphere. This is the one I've been least confident about. I'm going to go Pain Train. We'll do the YouTube exclusive first, and that is Deadlift versus Jackpot. Jackpot fighting on their home turf this season in Las Vegas. And they had a pretty good season last season. They got to the top 32. They were seeded number 11, and yeah, it all went wrong when they lost to Rotator. But you know, they're Rotator, a very seasoned machine, a veteran. But Jackpot, you know, they definitely had a good season, and you know, I don't really rate machines too often, but. You know, I don't rate newcomers too often, and but Jackpot did really well. And then there's Deadlift, which, funnily enough, was a fight in the Bounty Hunters. I didn't catch many of the Bounty Hunters, but it was a fight in the Bounty Hunters, and I know that they lost to Deadlift, so they'll be looking for revenge. Do I think Jackpot can get revenge? I think Deadlift is going to have a good season. I think they're a very solid machine, and I think they're solid enough for Jackpot. As much as I said they had a great season last year, I do think Jackpot's got problems. Maybe they've improved upon them. But I think when they come against something really sturdy, they'll have problems, and I trust Deadlift to be sturdy. So that is my prediction for the YouTube exclusive fight. And finally, your main event. I knew this fight was here because I've seen it talked about in the groups and on the Facebook page, and it is Hydra versus the champions. Spoiler alert for last season. Hopefully you're not watching this if you've not seen the previous season. Against Endgame. And, I think it's the champion, so he's got to be one of the favourites against arguably the #1 ranked machine. I think Hydra, especially amongst the fan base, is always considered a favourite now. I think in 2019, it was debatable whether it was a favourite. I think we needed to see it in action. I always say that about newcomers. But then, yeah, it really did lay down a marker in both 2019 and 2020. I just don't, I think when it gets to the bracket, it could do a little bit more to go one better. But in fight nights, in the fight night format, it has been incredibly strong. And I really do think this battle is going to be it's going to be the low game, because I'm sure we've seen Endgame. They've got several different attachments. We've seen Hydra, they have several different attachments. We know they have a vert attachment this season. I don't think they'll use that here. I think they'll use their big chunky wedge that we've seen before. I think it's going to be about who gets under who first, and I'm genuinely, when I used to do predictions before I filmed them, I was rubbish at predicting who would get under who first. I think it's going to be Hydra who gets underneath first, and I think that's going to be pivotal. I think the shelf is going to be pivotal. That's the new arena hazard. It's slightly raised above the ground. I think that is going to be pivotal. I think that's going to prevent Endgame from spinning up. And I think Hydra is going to be able to throw Endgame around the arena and take a victory. And that's going to be a very big scalp. And it's going to send a message to everyone else in the competition that Hydra is the one to watch this season. So, those are my predictions. Vote in the Google Docs down below. There'll be all the fights laid out. You can vote who you think is going to win each fight, and then they will hopefully all be collated, that data, and next week we'll see what my score was and what your guys as the audience's collective score was, and then we'll do it all again next week. So thank you very much for watching this first episode. It's been very slapdash, very quickly put together, but I hope if you do like this content, you'll like, comment, and subscribe. And go and check out Robot Rumble, my series. I battle hex bugs for a laugh with mates. So go check that out, and come back here every week for the Battlebots prediction game. Thank you very much for watching. See you around.